Hello, this is video about the alekhine's defense. A very uncommon defense in chess. It's very old and it looks terrible, but it's actually very good if you know what you're doing. White starts the game with e4, you respond with knight f6. White's most common move here is to attack your knight. Move it to d5. If they play d4, you play d6. We then play c4, knight b6. If they play f4, then trade in the center. If they take back with this pawn, then you're just going to win because these pawns are going to be very difficult for white to keep. And for king can no longer castle, you have attacking chances. So instead of that, they recapture with this pawn. Don't waste time. Bring your bishop out immediately. If they try and drive it off, trade. Don't waste even more time. Now attack this pawn. If they take, then that just drops their queen. So instead, they're going to push. Do it again. Again, if they take, it drops their queen. So we're going to push. Continue to undermine the center. If they take with this pawn. And their pawn on d6 is not living to see another day. If they try and protect it with their bishop, drive their bishop away, and take with the queen, and you're doing great. You can develop your knight to c6 or d7, castle queenside. Your rook can go to g8 to develop, and you're just doing fine. And white's pawn on c4 is going to be a bit of a challenge to keep. If instead of that, going back to this position, if they don't play d4, instead play c4, knight b6, and this goes straight to the position from before. And if they play c5 here, then this. They attack you with your bishop, then play this move, and you can get your queen out. If they trade here, you can get your queen out. Easily finish development. Attack white's pawns on e5 and c5 are targets. If they try and play this defend, check, block, and you're just doing great. Because you can prepare to fianchetto your bishop to g7, castle kingside, and you're just doing fine. So if instead of that they d4, d6, instead they play knight f3, here you have two options. You have two main options. You can either play this move and prepare to fianchetto your bishop on the next move. After something like this, trade, fianchetto. And if they do this, you should take back with this pawn. And instead of doing that, you could play this, and then trade your bishop, because that is a very strong knight. If I play this, make sure you cover the knight with a pawn. If you move it, then you lose your rook. So do this. If you try and do this, then just retreat it here. This is very similar, except you have a pawn on c6 and their bishop's on f3. And if they instead take this pawn, you have two choices here. Taking back with this pawn leads to a more defensive game for you. You can easily get your bishops out, your knight out, castle kingside, and you're fine. But if you're more aggressive, then take back with this pawn, because it opens the way for your queen. You can get your knight out, move your bishop, fianchetto your bishop to g7, and you're just doing great. And if they play this move, if after d6 they play this move, be careful. They have a trap here. If after this they play this move, be careful. They have a trap here. If you move your knight here, they're going to sacrifice their bishop to bring out your king. Check with your knight. Their knight. Bring the queen here, threatening checkmate on f7. You bring your queen to defend, and they play this. And if you attack their knight, check, you're forced to take, and then checkmate. So instead of that, instead of kicking out the knight, play this move to give your king some space. If they do this now, then your king can run, and then you can kick out the knight and take the pawn back, and you're just doing fine, and you're up a piece, and they're gonna win this pretty easily. And if instead of playing f4 here, if they play this, then just trade in the center. If they take back with their knight, then just offer a trade of knights. If they take, then you're doing fine, even if you have doubled pawns. It also means that your rook can go to b8 and take control of the open file. If they try and kick your knight out again, then just retreat it here. And you're doing great. You can play knight f6 on the next move, get your bishops out. Play e6 to get your other bishop out, and put your rook on the open file. And you have a very good game, and white has not developed any pieces yet, because they've been chasing your knight around the board with pawns. So those are all the most common variations of the alekhine fence. Hope you enjoyed.